Hey guys, this is Spencer with the Hustle Bus, and I'm just here to bring you 3 quick tips if you're just starting out with reselling. So my first tip that I'd like to give is you need to understand what all is involved in terms of equipment and supplies that you're going to need to resell. So I resell on eBay, but you might use, Poshmark or Facebook Marketplace or even Craigslist. So this, your mileage may vary. But for eBay, I think it's important to have a certain amount of basics like boxes and packaging tape and, some scissors and maybe a Sharpie and maybe, a few other basic items. But then we get into more advanced stuff like should I buy lighting or a white backdrop or a camera? And I think that as you go through this process of starting to resell on eBay, you're going to realize that things just start adding up, and you need to have a mental, an idea going into this of like where your line is, right? So for me, I already had an idea that I wanted to have lighting, I wanted to have the white backdrop, but I didn't really want to go for a camera right out the gate. I'm on my phone here just shooting this YouTube video, and I felt that it was totally within the realm of possibility to just use this smartphone to take photos of, items for eBay. But maybe you think, okay, I definitely need a good camera, or maybe you already have a camera. So it's important to know up front where your line is. What are some necessities that you're going to need in terms of, I gave a few, some basics, boxes they're going to be free, but you need time, which is also if you think of anything, worth doing, time is sort of money, right? So you might think of things that way. So you're going to have to wait for boxes to arrive from USPS. What does that timeline look like? Also, just tape and just basic necessities that you're going to need. And you might not need lighting. You might say, all right, let me just use some natural lighting. I got some light coming in through this window. Or, where can you draw your line? So you have the bottom of the rankings with just an old flip phone taking photos and boxes recycled from dumpsters or from your own deliveries from Amazon or something, right? And then you have a DSLR camera, crazy high quality with a team of people, or just kidding, but you know what I mean, super extremes on both ends. And then somewhere you have your line of what you're willing to have in terms of equipment and setup. So I think it's important just going into this, kind of formulating a plan and understanding what does that look like from a money perspective, from a time perspective. So that's tip number 1 is know what sort of equipment and supplies you're going to need out the gate. And I gave a few different ideas on what that looks like. Then for this tip number 2, I was thinking, for me personally, I go out and I source too much sometimes. I don't know if that's the case for everyone, but I just thought, if it's happening to me, maybe it's going to happen to some other folks out there. But don't go out and just only source. So sourcing is going out and buying items, and it's just really fun, at least for me, right? This is my top 3 tips. So obviously it's coming from, my own personal opinion. So take it as you will. But what I found is that it's awesome, being this little treasure hunter and going out and finding these different items and looking them up, or taking a chance and finding out what they could be worth. And that's the thing though, is that it could be worth this much, but how many months or weeks or days is it going to take to sell? Is it going to sell at all? Is it going to sell even at the price that you thought? Are you going to end up with a room full of stuff and nothing's moving, nothing's selling? Just start small when it comes to going and sourcing. Go out, buy 5-10 things, and just try and find things that you think are going to move quickly, and just kind of fail through the process of oh, that's how I need to ship things, or that's how I need to package things, that's how I need to weigh things. That's important because you might get caught up in just the buying of different items, and before you know it, you have a room full of stuff. And I mean, yeah, it's just crazy when you get into that because you just don't know what to do. You're like anxious with the amount of stuff that's everywhere, and it's like you don't have a system in place. There's inventory, you don't know where it is. Like, it gets out of hand real quick. So I'd strongly advise to just keeping it real low key, real chill, and just buy like 5-10 items, and just buy items you think are going to quickly sell, because you just need to learn the process. You need to just fail a little bit, right? You don't want to go out and buy items and spend like $200, $300, $400, $500, $600 over a series of weeks or months, and you don't really even know how it's selling, how it's performing, how it's doing, because you're just out there buying and not really selling. You just have this mental thought of how much it could be worth maybe one day. So get out, source, and then list, and then wait. And I think that'll help you out in the long term, because then you'll find out, okay, maybe that wasn't the best purchase, right? You need to kind of get your gauge right before you get into the thick of things, because what happens is, at least from my personal opinion, is that I've gone out and I saw, these YouTubers are going and buying all these different items and buying, loads and loads of stuff, and it's just, you want to emulate that. You want to, get out there and have that level of success, and you got to start small. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3, which we were kind of getting at, is like, getting motivated and getting fired up and getting out there, is you just got to start, right? If you're out here and you're watching these videos, you might be sort of theorizing, and you might be hypothesizing and strategizing, all the isings, but if you don't get out there and just do it, it's never going to happen. I know this is like super lame sort of, build up to this third tip, but like, maybe it's a little cheesy or something. But honestly, I did this for so long where I just saw all these YouTubers, I'm sure you guys have seen a few of them if you found this channel, because it's just, just starting out. But yeah, I was out there, or I was not out there. I was at home, watching videos and like, oh, okay, like let me create an eBay account, let me just look around and let me just dip the toe. Let me just dip my toe in and just, pretend. But what you really need to do is take a serious, like a full weekend, like commit hard, and go out like 6 a.m. to a garage sale, right? Even if it opens at 7, get out there 6 a.m. and just like experience that, and then fumble through the buying process and negotiating process, and then go to some Goodwills later on the day, and then like fumble through that whole thing. Like, let's say you're at a Goodwill and you're at the electronics section, like there's just rows and rows and rows of VHS, DVD players, all these different electronics. Go through and just look at the front and the model number, or the back, wherever it is, make, model. Just pull out the phone, look at eBay, look at recently sold, look at what it's selling for, look at the price, figure out, what sort of sales are going on at, Goodwill or Salvation Army or a thrift store or whatever you're at. Figure it out. Just go through one by one by one by one, and sort of get that experience, because watching people do it and actually doing it are two separate things. I know it's like sort of just a cliche, or like, maybe even obvious, like common sense or something, but I'm sort of like almost giving my past self advice here. Like, this is stuff that I made mistakes on, that I went and, failed at. So I need to help other people, succeed and achieve and reach their goals with what they want to do with reselling. So yeah, I mean, I'm just very passionate about this community and helping out. So if you guys benefited from these 3 tips, let me know. I'd love to hear more about your experiences hustling and, reselling or whatever. I just am super excited to join you guys on the journey. So yeah, let me know, guys. This is the Hustle Bus, and this has been 3 tips for new resellers. Thanks, guys.